The format for tonight's program will be as follows. Our three presenters, who will be introduced momentarily, will each give a brief presentation about who they are and the work they've been doing. After those are finished, the screen will go up and they will join Steve on the stage for the discussion part of the evening. So let me now introduce to you our moderator for the evening, though he really needs no introduction. Steve Brickhome graduated from Cranbrook Academy of Art and was then hired by Herman Miller as the company's first internal graphic designer, and where he now holds the rank of creative director and vice president. Please join me in welcoming Steve Brickhome to the podium.
Thank you, Julie, and good evening, everybody. I don't know what we're going to get into tonight, but I hope it's fun, and I hope I learned something about branding as well as you. We've got three very good designers who own their own businesses here in Grand Rapids. Gwen O'Brien from Plenty Creative, Mike Gorman, he's the Mr. of Mr. and Mrs. He used to be with Square One, and Kevin Goodman, owner of People Design. And so we're going to start out listening. I've asked the three of them to just give us a little introduction to themselves and their firm and what they've been doing of late, and maybe not so of late, but maybe 10 years ago or more. So we're going to start out with Mike.
Thanks, Steve. As Steve said, Mike Gorman, thanks for everyone coming out. I am currently president of AIGA West Michigan and the Mr. and Mrs. My wife Yolanda is in the audience there. And she is my wife and business partner. But I started with this because I've always been kind of in between worlds of math and design. And you know, you see me putting roughly 2,000 stickers on our wall in our kitchen here in a pattern that was developed just mathematically, and I found it really beautiful and that. And I'm also kind of continually working with folding planes and paper, and those really fascinate me. So that's something. I started out at Square One Design. I've really had like I'm on my third job really. I worked at a golf course, I worked at Square One Design, and now I work at Mr. and Mrs. And it's been good. I mean, life is good when you can just have good jobs like that, especially the golf course. So at Square One, we started doing more and more. I worked there for 20 years. I started out right out of college, and I became a partner, and we were at one point we were 4 people, and we were up to 18 people at different times, so it was quite a range, and I got to figure out my lack of managerial skills. So I was primarily responsible for this Joe, which was a packaging job for Paramount Coffee, and I still work with Paramount, and Paramount is in Lansing. When we started working with them, they were just doing Paramount Coffee and a few other little brands, but really not focused on the brands. Today, they really look at themselves as a packaging company that makes coffee. They realize that that's how important it is to their business. Nestle is our largest client. We're hoping to make a nice trip to Europe this year to visit them. Our clients in Switzerland, we do a phone call once every week, and it's a very nice way to work with one client. We get to do fun things like this, which is a world map made out of soda pop, just laid out and then photographed. And then here's one made out of cocoa. And then now we've taken all of these. We've done these new magazines that have an updated look, but then you have all these old magazines that don't have that look, and they were looking to recreate them, and I suggested we should just put it on the web. We'll have less to format, and so now we've taken some of that content and made it look more presentable. Although this is just the new, and also working well on an iPhone. So. All in all, working this way allows me to kind of wander in my in my thoughts. And I think ultimately that's really a great, I think that's where most of our great ideas that will go into paid work come from that just having time to wander. So that's me.
Thank you, Mike. How many of you have time to wander? I was a little jealous, actually, when I was looking at Mike and Yolanda's work in their home on the kitchen table, just messing around, weren't you? Cool. Gwen, you're next.
My name is Gwen. I'm co-owner of Plenty. My partner at Plenty is Dottie Rhodes, and we own a small design studio here in Grand Rapids. We're about to celebrate our 10th year in business, so we're really excited this year. And this is us, -1. This is the latest photo that we have of our studio. Jeff, who probably a lot of you know, Jeffrey Holstead, he was a part-time illustrator, and he just recently is working for Patagonia in California, which is an awesome fit for him if you know him at all. So we're sad to see him go, but he's doing a lot of great things, I'm sure. We have Nicole LaFave, Jessica Mead, and Frances Close, along with our mascot, Lulu, at the office at all times. And what I pulled for this presentation was a series of logos and branding that we've done recently. Some of these are a little bit older than others, but this is kind of what we've been working on over the past year and a half. The first client I'd like to talk about is West Michigan Center for Arts and Technology, or WMCAT. We recently rebranded them. You can see their old logo on the left there, and they looked very dated, obviously, and not like an arts organization. So the main focus for us was making them look creative and fun and fresh. And we did that using a series of really simple shapes and colors, and that's where we started. And it's been really successful for them, and they've really had fun using it too. One of the pieces of the branding elements that we pulled in were the student work. They had a plethora of images from photography students, graphic students, you name it, and they're doing it over there. So we pulled that in as supporting elements to their brand. And it was just really a fun exercise throughout all of their stationery, and then into, this is a newsletter that we redesigned as well, and just to give them a more energetic look throughout all of their materials, and it's been a really good thing for them. There's one more project here. The Grand Rapids Community Foundation. This was a fun project as well. We like to have a lot of play with our clients and the work. And with the Community Foundation, our task was to update their existing mark, which was created in like 1984, I think. And seriously, and give it some life. And the Community Foundation has been a long client of ours, a long-time client, and they do so many cool things in the community. We really wanted to express that in this new mark, and we wanted to have some fun and flexibility. And this logo actually came out of a series of meetings with the client and with all of their stakeholders. We probably met with at least 60 people in different settings to talk about this logo, which sounds like a nightmare, but it was actually a really good thing. And the word hour really kind of came to the forefront, because with the Community Foundation, it's all about how the community can really come together and move forward. So we landed on our, and really introducing that to the Grand Rapids Community Foundation, and they loved it. the shapes, and we like it really big too. But the shapes, the intention is to have it be flexible and fluid. The shapes are the same, but the colors can change. And they can also combine, and you can put images behind it. So it helps express a little bit more about what they may be talking about, if it's about food or about what they're doing in the community. It just is another element for them to express what they need to. And then this is showing on the website. So we do have a standard color palette that we have recommended for them, but the intention is for it to be a little bit more flexible and change down the road. And that's us. Absolutely.
It's really interesting how many times Gwen used it's really been fun. And I think if we're all honest, this profession is fun. I mean, it's one reason I've been at it for 40-some years, practicing and learning all the time. Our next speaker is going to be Kevin Goodman from People Design. He's going to do hand puppets. He's been a busy guy, but he's going to talk about People Design and the work they do. Kevin. Hey, where's what?
Hi, I'm Kevin. I guess the dog ate my homework. It's funny to think about the other panelists up here because I moved to Grand Rapids originally to work with Steve and Herman Miller, and Mike and I used to work together in Square One, and Gwen used to do some work for us years ago. So it's funny, it's a small community. So I'm chief cook and bottle washer of a firm called People Design here in Grand Rapids. And we do a lot of brand work, and I have kind of a love-hate relationship with branding. We wrote a book about branding 2 years ago, but brand means a lot of different things to different people, and I'm sure we'll get into that today. But our work, the work that you may be familiar with that we have done around here are things like the identity for this art museum and UICA and Art Prize, and I think we've run the gamut of the arts organizations here locally. But we've done a lot of work with the furniture companies, Herman Miller, Steelcase, etc., and a lot of other clients not around here. The parts that keep me interested in design are the evolution of the field itself, and the things that I've been exploring in my career, which really started in Pittsburgh. I went to school at Carnegie Mellon, and I came here, and I've been involved with AIGA with Glenn and Mike here locally, and APDF is another design organization nationally, and more recently, I'm sort of most of the way through a master's degree from the Institute of Design. I actually taught there last week. And it's really interesting to watch the evolution of design as a profession and sort of what the emphasis is becoming. And in many respects, I think what keeps me interested in it, and it is fun for me too, I think the thing that's most fun about it is how, it's kind of like come full circle in some ways for me as I think about what led me to Grand Rapids originally and Herman Miller. The people that helped make Herman Miller what it is, that are very famous, people like George Nelson, Charles Eames. Some of these guys were famous for designing products and sometimes graphics, films. But in many respects, I think they changed really the emphasis of what the company actually did. And I think design at its best is not just a cosmetic thing, but actually very much focused on the idea of this increasingly perplexing problem about what to make in society. We're moving from an economy of scale and of kind of the industrial era into a knowledge economy of choice. And design can play a really important role in this. And I think companies like Herman Miller have been a leader in this and others. And I think designers can play a really interesting role in it. I think brand can sometimes clarify and it can sometimes confuse, but it's a way to start talking about what design can really do. And because I don't have any slides, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.